Where New South Wales Deputy Chief Health Officer Dr Jeremy McAnulty is providing a coronavirus update.
That was reported yesterday, and 5 cases, including 2 from the same household, remain under investigation, which aren't at this point clearly linked to the other cases. In addition, since those numbers 8 o'clock last night, we've had an additional case linked to the Planet Fitness gym at Casula, bringing those numbers bring the total number of people related to the cluster that began at the Crossroads Hotel to 45. Of the cases reported yesterday, 2 had together visited the bistro at the Soldiers Club in Batemans Bay on the 13th of July from 7 o'clock to 9:30 p.m, and also McDonald's at Albion Park on the 15th of July from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. So we're asking people who were at the bistro at the Soldiers Club at Batemans Bay for 2 hours on the 13th of July from between 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. To isolate immediately for 14 days after they were last there. Watch out for symptoms, and if symptoms develop, come forward for testing right away. And even if they get a negative test, to stay in isolation for that full 14 days. We're also asking anybody who was at Albion Park McDonald's on the 15th of July between 2 and 2:30 to watch carefully for symptoms, and if they develop any respiratory symptoms, cough, sore throat, runny nose, shortness of breath or fever, to come immediately forward for testing and isolate themselves. And just a reminder of a previous warning about Planet Fitness Gym at Casula. If people were there between the 4th and the 10th of July, to come forward for testing, but self-isolate again for 14 days, regardless of that test result. And if they get a negative test and get further symptoms, to come forward for testing again. We've got a list, a growing list of places that people should review on a regular basis to see whether they've been to those places on a website, to check to remind themselves whether they need to isolate and get tested. So we're at a crucial point in the fight against COVID. It remains a very active number of cases in New South Wales, in Victoria. It's very important that we as a community come together to fight this virus. The things that we all need to do is to maintain social distancing, keep at least 1.5 metres away from other people, avoid crowds, avoid clustering. If you're sick, don't go out, stay at home, don't go on public transport, and importantly, come forward for testing. And it's been really pleasing seeing the number of people who Matt called to come forward for testing if they've been at one of these clusters, or if they get even the mildest of symptoms. It's important to note that it's not just these clusters we're worried about. With COVID being so active, anywhere in New South Wales, if you have the symptoms, don't hesitate, come forward to one of the COVID clinics, one of the respiratory clinics that the Commonwealth has set up, or through your GP where you can get tested. Don't be shy, come forward for testing, and even if you've been tested before, if symptoms recur, come forward for testing again. It's essential we find you so that we can assist you, but also importantly protect others in the community who you might have exposed, so that we can stop the virus spreading further.